Hello, I am Carlos Alberto, the thinker. Today we will analyze the case of Cuba from a different perspective. A perspective that invites us to observe not only the ideas themselves, but also the results those ideas produce when they come into contact with reality. To do this, we will take as our starting point two statements made by two key figures from the same historical era. The first comes from Fidel Castro. History will absolve me. The second was spoken years later by Raúl Sendic, one of the principal historical leaders of Uruguay's national liberation movement, the Tupamaros. True revolutionary theory emerges from revolutions actually carried out. We will not analyze these statements today to decide who was right. We will do something different. We will treat them as working hypotheses and put them to the test using Stoic Geopolitics. For Stoic Geopolitics does not begin by accepting or rejecting an idea. It begins by examining it. And if there is any revolution that allows us to perform this exercise today with sufficient historical perspective, it is the Cuban Revolution. 66 years after 1959, time has given us the necessary distance to observe not only the initial promises, but also the actual results. We are not here to judge individuals or condemn ideas in advance. We are here to examine how ideas interact with historical reality. In 1959, Cuba was grappling with deep social inequalities, political corruption, and heavy economic and geopolitical dependence. Against this backdrop, a revolution was born, one that promised social justice, sovereignty, equality, and a better life for its people. It would be intellectually dishonest to analyze the outcome without first understanding the starting point. Nations do not change course by accident. The pendulum of history begins to swing when societies feel that the path they are on no longer meets their needs. That is why Stoic Geopolitics seeks to understand the causes before analyzing the consequences. Yet, every revolution ultimately arrives at the same place, a confrontation with reality. And it is here that Raúl Sendic's phrase takes on extraordinary depth. If true revolutionary theory emerges from revolutions that have actually taken place, then we must ask ourselves, what do 66 years of the Cuban Revolution teach us? Allow me a moment to explain how Stoic Geopolitics works. Thus far, this methodology offers a simple way to approach major historical processes. First, it observes the facts, not the slogans, not the emotions, not the narratives, the facts. Then, it identifies the historical processes revealed by those facts. For an isolated event rarely explains the trajectory of a society. It is the processes unfolding over time that ultimately show the direction in which the pendulum swings. Next, it compares initial promises with observable results. Every theory deserves to be heard with respect, but every theory must accept being measured against the reality it creates once it ceases to be merely an idea and begins to transform the lives of millions of people. Finally, Stoic Geopolitics seeks to discover what opportunities the present moment offers. It does not seek to condemn the past. It seeks to learn from it. For societies that do not learn from their own history often end up repeating it. Let us return then to Cuba. For more than 6 decades, the revolution has passed through various stages, leadership changes, and international contexts. Yet today, certain highly visible results are evident. An economy facing enormous structural difficulties, sustained emigration of millions of Cubans seeking opportunities beyond the island, severe material shortages, significant restrictions in various areas of public life, and a young generation that, to a large extent, looks to a future outside the country. Stoic geopolitics takes no pleasure in these difficulties. It observes them. For behind every indicator lie millions of human beings striving to build a better life. If the stated purpose of a revolution was to offer greater opportunities for freedom, prosperity, and well-being to its people, then we must ask to what extent those objectives were achieved. Each observer will answer that question using their own reasoning. Personally, after observing 66 years of history, I consider that the results show the revolutionary project failed to sufficiently achieve the fundamental objectives it had promised. I do not reach this conclusion out of sympathy for one ideology or rejection of another. I reach it because the method leads me there, and precisely out of respect for that method, I always keep open the possibility of revising my conclusions should future reality present new elements. Herein lies the most important lesson. Stoic geopolitics does not analyze ideologies. It analyzes the historical consequences of their application. That same criterion must be applied to any political, economic, or social project, regardless of its origin. Intellectual consistency demands the same rule for all. But history serves not only to explain the past, it also serves to recognize opportunities. And here, the pendulum once again reveals something important. The Americas seem to find themselves at a different juncture. Some time ago, I proposed an idea I called the Pact of Concord. It did not originate as a response to a specific government or to follow a particular leader. It sprang from the conviction that our peoples share enough common values to build expanding spheres of cooperation, institutional respect, freedom, economic development, and shared sovereignty. Today, some call this possibility the Shield of the Americas. The name is secondary. What truly matters is the historic opportunity that seems to be opening up before us. Stoic geopolitics does not follow individuals. It observes processes. And when the pendulum points to an opportunity, it deems it prudent to examine it. Not because success is guaranteed, but because ignoring opportunities is also part of making historic decisions. Perhaps the greatest lesson Cuba offers the Americas today is not merely political, it is methodological. It reminds us that no theory should be shielded from reality, and that every mature society must have the courage to learn as much from its successes as from its errors. I do not ask you to accept my conclusions. I invite you to follow the reasoning with me. If, by the end of this video, you reach a different conclusion, but do so after calmly analyzing the facts and applying consistent reasoning, then this work will have fulfilled its purpose. Because Stoic geopolitics was not created to tell the world what to think. It was created to help us think better. For by learning to think, we can better exercise our own concept of freedom. If you believe it is worth continuing to build this path together, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. It may seem like a small gesture, but it means a great deal to this project. Every new subscription, every like, every comment, and every time you share a video helps YouTube bring this work to more people interested in reflecting calmly and learning to think with greater clarity. If you think these ideas might be useful to a family member, a friend, or a colleague, please share them. It might be the start of a good conversation. And in times when quick answers abound, reclaiming dialogue and reasoning is already a major step forward. I also invite you to leave your thoughts in the comments. I am not looking for an audience that thinks exactly as I do. I am looking for a community of people willing to reason, to engage in respectful dialogue, and to enrich this space with their own ideas. I read your comments carefully because they often help me continue learning and refining this methodology. Everything here is free because knowledge grows when it is shared. My greatest wish is for this channel to reach more people and for us to build, together, a community where critical thinking, intellectual freedom, and respect for the truth always come first. I am Carlos Alberto, the thinker. Thank you very much for joining me. And remember, we are not here to tell the world what to think. We are here to help one another think better. For by learning to think, we can better exercise our own concept of freedom. The path is made by walking. Until next time.